Aye, man, this is going to really annoy you. Mike Ashley. Yeah, it's been a while since you've heard his name. A decade of failure under Mike Ashley's rule at Newcastle United, a city that is completely engrossed in football culture. That potential, of course, recently has finally been delved into. However, for over 10 years under Mike Ashley, he took Newcastle United to lows that they never once thought was possible. In today's video, we're going to go back into exactly why Mike Ashley is so hated by Newcastle United fans, what he did. It's been around 2 years since Saudi Arabian investment took over Newcastle United, so I feel like now with hindsight and with the initial emotion out the way, we can really look back into Mike Ashley's tenure at Newcastle United to go into exactly what happened. I'm speaking on behalf of a person that did live inside Newcastle for 2 years between 2017 to 2019. So I was there during the entire Rafa Benitez rise of the club from the Championship, winning the title, and in the first year in the Premier League. The excitement that came with that, and the absolute travesty when Rafa Benitez had to leave. So if you are a Toon fan, or if you've got an opinion about Newcastle United, your thoughts on Mike Ashley in that era, and where do you think Newcastle can actually go? Like, subscribe, and Vizeh designs for the best football prints, all made by myself, and of course we've got a ton of Newcastle prints too, called NUFC for 15% off all items. And let's get into the video. So before I get into this, I want to clarify one thing. Because I lived in Newcastle, I do have definitely a soft spot to Newcastle. However, at the very same time, that doesn't mean that I particularly hate Sunderland, for example, right? I really massively respect the Northeast, and I think the Northeast and how they view life, but particularly football, I think is the most passionate area of the entire country. And that's why I think the Tyne-Wear derby is the best derby in England. However, let's get into Mike Ashley. Mike Ashley can be described in a simple sentence. Mike Ashley is a cutthroat businessman that, if you were on life support, would plug out your machine to charge his phone. As long as he's being benefited in it, then that's all that really matters. I also want to bring forward this amazing, incredible clip that I found, and it still stays in my head rent-free, with this clip from BT Sport, including Rio Ferdinand defending Mike Ashley and suggesting that Newcastle fans need to thank him, and uttered the words, and I'm being deadly serious, saying that if they want to buy the club, that if they want him out, they should chip together and buy the club themselves. Quote, whether you like it or not, he's the one that's put the money up and he's doing what he thinks is right for the club. Whether the Geordies don't like it, a lot of them hate him and don't like him, but round your money up and take over the club then. That is genuinely a thing that came out of his mouth. Let's go back to 2007, 2008. Mike Ashley was never really hated when he first joined in. At first, they were kind of happy to see the back of the former owners, Sir John Hall and Freddie Shepherd. He was embraced, going into town centre, going on nights out and buying drinks across the local nightclubs for the local fans. Despite rumours that he was indeed a Tottenham Hotspur fan, he's always insisted that he was indeed a Newcastle fan. So the idea of a self-made billionaire Newcastle fan buying into the club, you would think, well, surely that his heart should be to the football club. But it got found out pretty fast that that simply wasn't the case. Yes, he went on nights out. Yes, he went into the away ends with the Toon fans, but it didn't last for long. At first, there was Big Sam Allardyce, and then after that, he got sacked, and then club legend Kevin Keegan came in for his second stint as Newcastle manager. That despite having Kevin Keegan in charge, all parts of the club was changed around him. Like Dennis Wise was introduced as executive director that did not get along with Keegan at all. There's also like Derek Lambias, who is just a simple owner of a casino down in London, became part of Newcastle as CEO. Clearly it didn't last long, as allegedly Dennis Wise, the executive director, said that they were signing the Spanish striker called Cisco, who wasn't really well known to Kevin Keegan, so instead he walked out of the room and never came back. He claimed for constructive dismissal and won £2 million in court. It was this moment that kind of changed how he interacted with Newcastle fans. Mike Ashley never really went into Newcastle city centre, he rarely attended St James's Park, and he never really took any interviews, public interviews ever. And this all follows a very simple concept. Mike Ashley doesn't know football and instead relies on a bunch of yes men that may know a bit more football than him, however, still aren't that great. It's either Mike Ashley's decision or no one else's decision. This fundamental element is the reason why Newcastle was never able to be consistently great or to really make steps in the right direction. Because the second there is any manager with any other contrasting ideas that can move the club forward, they immediately fall out with the chairman and they go back to square one. Former Newcastle manager Alan Pardew, that also is a funny story in itself, of course, in interviews came out saying that the boss at Newcastle does not understand the game. And he was of course given a formal warning and was almost instantly dismissed. In only his second year managing the club, of course Newcastle was in a relegation battle, so he tried to tug at the heartstrings of the fans again. Oh hi, it's Alan Shearer. For the last 8 games, it didn't work. So when it comes to pleasing the fans, club legends are kind of important. So when you bring back Kevin Keegan and he has to leave the club because of how mental the chairman is, then that doesn't suit well. It gets even worse than when you have Alan Shearer back, potentially the biggest club legend, especially in modern times at that stage, drafted a possible rebuilding plan and Mike Ashley freezes him out the door. His short-term contract was not extended and the classic Shearer's bar at the Gallowgate end was then just simply renamed to 9. In the Championship, they brought in Chris Hooton. They, of course, got promoted at first chance, which, I mean, they had a pretty good squad at that stage. And things were started to look a little bit higher up. They brought in Alan Pardew after Newcastle were 11th in Premier League, and they had a bit of a French revolution. Johan Cabaye, Hatem Ben Arfa. Newcastle finished 5th with the iconic duo of Demba Ba and Pape Cisse. Maybe now Mike Ashley can maybe move forward. But then he decided to, not do that. Sportsdirect.com. Sorry if that brings back really haunted memories for you guys. Newcastle fans were never really meant to be happy, as at the same time the iconic St James's Park was potentially renamed the Sports Direct Arena. Yeah, because that would go down well. And alongside that chaos came also the shirt sponsor, Wonga. Payday lender Wonga isn't exactly known for having a good track record and is actually quite known for taking advantage of people in extremely vulnerable situations at high interest rates. Basically, they take advantage of people who are at the most vulnerable. So it's a perfect company to advertise on your shirts. Alan Pardew eventually walked with then oh god, John Carver. And this was when I remember the True Geordie videos back in the day. I used to watch his videos all the time when John Carver was there with Pardew, and then of course up next Steve McLaren.
Does my drinking offend you? I'll tell you what offends me. That gutless, heartless and fucking clueless performance by that club, Newcastle United. That's not the fucking Newcastle I know, I'll tell you now. That was fucking pathetic. And the saddest bit is anyone even surprised? Oh yeah, where are the Pardew Out Brigade now? Oh yeah, where are the people who said, where are the Pardew Out Brigade now? Where are them lot? Are they around? Are they around? All these Pardew fans, are they around? Or were they around for the 4-0 demolition by Arsenal? Were they around in the last game against Spurs? Are they around now? I'd love to see from them. I'd bloody love to. Yeah, because Newcastle was so fickle. Oh, all the bloody trophies we've won were a disgrace. You know what it is? Decades upon decades of trophies. Those Newcastle fans packing that stadium. We're all eating out of FA Cups. We've had that much success. We're eating out of the FA Cup for our Christmas dinner. It's a joke, man. And Newcastle have lost 1-0 to Sunderland for the 5th time in a row. 5 times. 5 times. John Carver comes out before the game. He says, we're going to show effort and enthusiasm. What the was that? What the was that? That was a bunch of suckless, overpaid who never even get up for the one game of fucking year that will give a shit about. Ever. Even the Sunderland players, as born idle as they are, and even their own fucking fans know that, at least they understand the importance of this game to the region.
Year by year by year, the identity of the club seems to get more and more drowned out. However, man, is that Rafa Benitez? Somehow, Rafael Benitez ended up at the Toon. He joined on an initial short-term contract with the idea to hopefully keep them up. The same man that won the Champions League with Liverpool was in a relegation dogfight. And not only that, they still got relegated. Every single person would have thought that Rafa Benitez would of course leave the second they go down to Championship. However, somehow he wanted to stay. And the love towards him made the fans feel like it was much more of a community. I remember because I was there in Newcastle, and the amount of times just outside my window almost every night I just hear a group of drunk Geordie lads singing Rafa Benitez, Rafa Benitez every single night without fail. I even joined in. Newcastle got promoted, obviously, and he did it quite comfortably. However, for the next season, he needed more. Rafa Benitez needed more from the chairman, which he simply didn't get. It became very clear that Mike Ashley wasn't wanted there, and Mike Ashley also didn't want to be there either. The feeling came that he felt spiteful towards him. Mike Ashley, that the training ground needed a massive revamp, and it wouldn't be done. Rafa Benitez walked due to simply not being in the same line with the owner, and the idea of Newcastle not being able to get Rafa Benitez, and instead, who's next up? Oh yeah, Steve Bruce. Yeah, you can see why that's not going to help matters. In the 14 years that Mike Ashley was in charge, Newcastle United was a shell of a football club. It was run by skeleton staff, not a penny spent on the actual infrastructure of the club that he wasn't absolutely forced to spend due to regulations. The frustration to many Newcastle fans was from people from the outside telling them that it's not that bad and that they should simply be happy with what they have, with the frustration knowing that they should be hoping to expect a bit more. Mike Ashley never hid the idea that he wanted to sell the club and to simply get rid, and he used the club as just simple, easy promotion for his company Sports Direct, and the way that he manages Sports Direct is in itself another disgrace in how he treats his employees. Newcastle is of course in a better place now, however the moral questions of many Newcastle fans, of course, was tested. The history behind the PIF and the owners that they currently have, it leads to this weird sort of grey area of how much can you enjoy any sort of success, or do you just simply realize that it's out of your hands? In theory, that's how I think anyone would react. If your club's been bought out by Saudi Arabian funds and your club is now one of the most richest clubs in the world, I feel like most people would accept that and would understand behind it. Tell me down below what you think, but these are the Mike Ashley years, and it's sadly kind of what went down with it. Of course, many protests was made, and when he finally left the club, the party in Newcastle that night was absolutely mint. So comment down below your thoughts, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.